Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm being prompted to make a video, and I don't know what it's gonna be about. So I'm just gonna open myself up to whatever comes. I actually started another video, and then partially through, I was just like, no, I don't feel like I'm quite in alignment. That's not quite the message that was trying to come through. And so I'm kind of going back and just being like, okay, let's try again and be even more open and in more alignment and remove my own mind or my own ego or anything that's me out of it, and just let God speak through me, um because that's who I'm called to be. I'm called to be like this channel, and I'm embracing that. And And I see how the words that I've been given are helpful and build people up. And it's kind of amazing for me to experience that. I think people maybe sometimes wonder like what that process is like when I get a prompting, or I'm getting like this feeling, or like these words are coming through. What does that feel like? And the best way I can describe it is when I remove my own mind, my own thoughts out of the way, and just open myself up to whatever wants to come through, that's full of light and truth and so much good energy and clarity like is a big thing. And so if I'm not quite in the right energy myself, then sometimes that can be a little bit muddy, or it's not as clear as it should be. And so when I first started, I felt like that. I like my energy wasn't quite right to channel as well. But so I'm so glad that that also came through too, kind of that prompting of like, no, Katie, this isn't quite it. Let's stop this, throw that one in the trash and try again. And now I feel like I'm more aligned. And so it's a very intuitive process too, as far as like when I am listening to my intuition, it's just this deep knowing. And I think there's this idea of intuition that, oh, only certain people have it, like I'm an empath, so therefore I have intuition, and I get all this guidance this way. But really, the truth is, we all have intuition, and we all can actually sense energy. And so I think that's actually what I'm being directed to talk about. I didn't know that, but here we go. About intuition and energy, and how this is something we all have, and you can apply it within your own life. So when when you hear that phrase, like your that gut feeling or following your gut, that's exactly what what that phrase is actually referring to. Is it calls it the gut feeling. Um, and it's interesting that your gut is kind of your stomach and all that. Because when I first started sensing energy, that's where I felt it, was in my stomach, and that's when I could feel negative energy around me. Was I got this really, just like, I felt really sick to my stomach, and it just had this different quality to it. And at first I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm like coming down with the flu or something. This was a few years back, after I'd really started to open myself up to my gift, or just to other ideas, to energy. And I had this experience where I was just like, well, maybe I'm just coming down with a flu bug. But it was like this really intense, like it felt like the flu, but for some reason I just knew there was something different about it. And so I was like curled up on my bed holding my stomach because it was that bad, and just praying. Like, I just knew I needed to pray. So I was praying. And um it came to me during that time that this was energy. This was negative energy that I was feeling. Um, and I also had an experience with my cat Nala that she has never done before or since then, that kind of confirmed that there was something else going on. And what she did is she came, like I was laying on my bed, kind of holding my stomach, feeling this negative energy, praying, and she came and laid right by my stomach and placed all four of her paws on my stomach. It was almost like her kitty way of laying her hands on me. And she was like sharing her energy with me and helping me fight this thing. And I prayed and she shared energy and I fought. And as suddenly as this negative energy had come, it was gone again. And that's when I knew for sure it wasn't a flu bug, because, usually that's going to stick around for a while, at least several hours. And this was maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. I don't know how long it was. But so it was a length of time, but it was also extremely short and very intense, on the level of a really bad flu, and then it was gone as a result of prayer and energy work. And I was just like, okay. So that's what negative energy feels like. So it's interesting that that was in my gut. That's where I first felt negative energy. um and it's interesting how in our society then, these energetic terms or are kind of infiltrate into just our normal way of talking, but there's actually energy behind that. And so that gut feeling and intuition, that is you sensing energy, and so all of us actually have this capability. It's just that our minds get so noisy, our lives get so noisy, we get so just distracted by everything, and we like noisy is just the word that keeps on coming. Because that's how I kind of view the world. Like for me, especially as an empath, because I'm dealing with energy all the time, um, the world is a noisy place. And so one of the things that I have to do on a regular basis is get away in nature where it's quiet and just kind of detox from all the noise. Um, and so all that noise also can kind of get in your way of knowing, um, of knowing and responding to intuition. But it is there. And so if you're struggling with something, maybe trying to make a choice, or like, what do I want? What is my desire in the situation? You feel like you're kind of like pulled in two different directions, you know, then to really tap in to your gut. And your gut knows. It just does. That's what the intuition is. It's just like this deep knowing that you almost can't explain, but when you really tap into that and kind of listen to that and let it speak to you and let it kind of grow and come forward, you're like, yeah, this is what resonates. This is what resonates. And so yeah, we all have that. And I I believe and I feel and have experienced that that's how one of the ways that God can talk to us is through our intuition. Or, like when we're trying to figure out what's the next move in our lives, or maybe like you feel pulled in a certain direction but you're not quite sure, like I'm like, is this God or what? Then tap into your intuition, and you'll just kind of know. It's like, this is the way, this is what I'm being led to do, this is my prompting. So that's what God is wanting me to talk to you about today. Apparently, honestly, I literally had zero idea, zero. Even on the other ones where, I've had just a very limited idea, at least I had that. But this video was the first time where I was just like, I'm being prompted and I got nothing. I have no idea. I literally just have to open up the channel and see what comes through. So it's kind of exciting for me to continue to trust that and just go there and see what comes out, because I know that God has these things that he wants to say and he's using me to say them. And I'm open for that. I'm open to be that vessel, that channel that he can use to speak to people, to speak to your hearts, and to bring light and to um yeah, bring light into the darkness. Bring light into the darkness. That's what I'm called to do. And just remove like the dark covering that is so often over our eyes and over our minds, and just shine a light, I to be the light, um and that's what I'm doing. So apparently there's people out there that need to hear this message. So if you're struggling with something, listen to your gut. And then when your gut tells you what to do, act on it. Because that's the thing. So the things that your gut is asking you to do and prompting you to do, those are the things that are going to bring joy. You see my face. This has been my experience over and over. Follow your intuition, and it's going to lead you to the light. It's going to lead you to joy. It's going to lead you to freedom. It's going to lead you to um, just a greater understanding. It's going to lead you to healing. It's going to lead you to awakening. And I know that's something we all want. Like when I speak of these things, then I know that like it resonates with everybody. Some part of us, I believe that's a part that God put in each of us, knows and feels the weight of the truth and of healing, and responds to that, and is just like, yes, 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 that's what I want. So I'm happy to be able to be used to help you tap into that. Like, I'm so down for that. It makes me happy to be able to bring joy and healing. Like, yeah, it's my calling. And I just more and more, I'm even, you can just kind of see through the progression of my videos that more and more I'm coming into that and owning that and just being that, being that healer, being that bringer of light. Um, and I'm not going to stop. It's as long as God is using me, I will do it. I will, live according to these promptings and bring the light wherever I can. Um, because it is my true nature and my true calling. And it fills up something in me when I can bring healing to others. So God is all about win-win situations. And that is definitely a win-win situation. So it's a win for me because it's just like it fills up my heart, fills up my soul to help others. And the other side of that win is that these people are getting helped. So yeah, win-win. So I am getting a call right now, but I am not going to answer at this point in time. Kind of a surprise of who it was. So if that person happens to watch this video, yeah, I was making a video when you called, so that's why I didn't answer. So it'd be very easy for me to get distracted on some other way of thinking. But anywho, it was somebody from my past actually that caused a lot of damage, took advantage of my kindness, but is also somebody that there's hope for. That's what's so cool. Like, people can come from the worst places, and there's no place that you can come from that is so far gone that God can't help you. Like, isn't that freaking awesome? Like, yeah, it's just amazing to me. Like, it just makes me freaking happy because it's like there's so many situations, there's so many Um, so many hard things that people have gone through, so much negative energy. Um, there is a lot of darkness in this world, and people of their own free will have are living in that darkness. And when they do that, they not only damage themselves, they're damaging other people around them. And um, and I know that that's one reason, a big reason actually, that a lot of people have difficulty believing in God, because they're just like, well, if God exists, why is he allowing so and so to treat me so awfully? Or why does he allow cancer? Or, and we all I think have asked that question, when you come into these painful situations of like, if God exists, like, why is this happening? Like, God, where are you? Um but that was explained to me really well. And I'll try to pass on what was explained to me, and I'll kind of open myself up to whatever wants to come through as well, to try and answer that question. Um, because it's one that makes a lot of sense in our minds, and it's sometimes the reason why people choose not to believe in God anymore, because they're just like, if God exists, how could this happen? But how it was explained to me by my counselor, who is also a energy worker empath, um, kind of goes back to the beginning of everything, when Satan was actually up in heaven and he questioned God. He came in that spirit of like, is your way really the best way? Really? Like, who said, like, you've just kind of, you're God, so do we just all have to believe that your way is the best and that's it? He coming in that spirit of like, did God really say, like, is that really true? And like, just questioning everything. And so how my counselor explained it to me is like, then God was like, okay, in order to answer this question, we are going to set up a place called Earth where where people have the choice to either follow you, Satan, or follow me, and then make that choice on their own of which way is best. Who really is the best? They you talk about Satan as the god of this world. Like, that's kind of who he is, And an important part of that, this is why God respects free will. He desires, in order to answer that question, for us to choose to believe in him of our own free will. But if we choose not to, it's not like he comes down with a bolt of lightning and is like, how can you make this choice to follow Satan, But so he allows that because it was free will, and he is not going to force anybody to believe in him. God will never force you to believe in him. That's coming through strong, so I'm going to say it again. God will never force you to believe in him. It's your choice. It's your choice. And so Earth is kind of a place where almost like it's playing out that experiment of like, okay, Satan, here you go. You can be the god of this world, but there's still, going to be people that are full of light here, so that it's not just all going to go to hell in a handbasket. Um and and those people, will bring the light, and God will be there if you ask him to be. But the reason these awful things happen, whether that's child abuse or anything that's just not according to God's heart at all, it's because those other people that are perpetrating these awful acts are living, have of their own free will, have chosen to be in the service of Satan. Whether they've had that mental thought or not, they're in the service of darkness. And so God allows that free will. and allows that to play out, to show that, like, if you give into darkness, this is the result. And it's always awful and damaging. And, but again, he respects free will. And it's kind of too bad because regardless of which energy we're in, whatever we choose to follow, that's what we spread into the world, you know? And so if you do follow the light, you spread light into the world, like myself. But if you follow the darkness, you spread darkness into the world. And what's so horrible about that, and the people that have done these terrible things will have to answer for that, is that, say, you know, I'm going back to child abuse, then it's like that parent's choice to follow the darkness has now spread darkness into their child's life. And God does not take that lightly at all. Of course, there's always forgiveness. There's absolutely always forgiveness. But people who spread darkness into the world will have to answer for that. At the same time, it's like God's letting them be an example of, like, okay, if you don't follow my way, this is what happens. Do you see how awful it is? Do you see how damaging it is, you know? And then there's that whole thing of, like, sickness, you know, like cancer and other things like that. There are times that God does allow hard things to happen. He does. But he allows that only because he knows that you can handle it, and because he knows it's going to strengthen you, and that your story of how you overcame that situation is not only going to help yourself, but help all of those that come after you. So yeah, he will allow hard things. And there's, for me personally, I'm like, yeah, God, you kind of allowed a heck of a lot of hard things in my life. But it was because he knew I could handle it. He knew I could handle it. And it was making me strong. And it is making me strong. And I am hella strong now as a result of that. And when we're in those hard situations, when we're in those tests and trials that are meant to strengthen us, we usually don't see that. It's only in, you know, afterwards that you look back and you see what you gained. And you go, okay, God, even this really hard thing, this painful thing, this awful thing that made me question your existence, even this has been a part of your plan, and has been for my good. Like, it says that in the Bible, that all things happen for our best. And that is, you know, like, that is God's goal, you know? And what's really cool about God, I've experienced this so many times, and so that's why I'm smiling and just, it makes me happy, is God will take a work of Satan, you know, a work of darkness, and if he can bring a little light into it, or, you know, help whoever it is that darkness is happening to turn around, he can seriously take Satan's work and turn it on its head and actually turn it into something good and helpful. That, like, is, I've experienced this so many freaking times, and I can only imagine how frustrated Satan must be, where you're just like, ah, shit, you know, not again, you know, all the best laid plans. So I don't want anybody to feel like, I'm getting distracted by how red I am. I don't know if I'm, like, allergic to something, or I don't know. Maybe it's energetic. Who knows? Anywho, getting totally distracted here. But I don't know how many times, like, you know, Satan's just like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Like, you know, he had a plan to bring you down. And God's like, ha, all you have to do is call out for my help. And boom, I turn this upside down and make it a win for you. And so it's not nearly as hard as you think it is to overcome the darkness. And the darkness deals in lies. and perception filters. So once you start awakening, oh man, that's when the darkness loses its power. And I'm looking at the fact that I've been talking for a long time. There's a lot that came through. Whenever I channel, like, it just seems like God has a lot to say, you know, because he's just looking for those people that are willing to do that. And I am. I'm willing. I just open myself up and just say, okay, God, use me. Bring the words that you want to be heard. And I will be your vessel. And that's who I am. That's what's happening. So, with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up because, again, these videos keep on getting longer and longer. And I also know that with these words, sometimes it can be like, okay, we need some time to kind of digest what's being said as far as the listeners go. So I just hope that for any of you that click on my videos, that watch these, that you got what you were needing to hear, you know, and that it resonated with you, and you got something out of that is going to help you and move you forward on your life path. And we're all called to be followers of God, and it just basically is our choice whether we answer that call or not. So if you want to be happy, basically, you know the way, you know, just say yes, you know, and dive in, and everything gets so much better. That's when you start glowing like I am. So I hope to see many more of you just glowing and owning your authentic selves, and just being who God wants you to be, who God called you to be, just being the beautiful person that he made you. Like, each person is fearfully and wonderfully made, you know? So believe that for yourself, and believe that you have a gift. Every single person has a gift to give to the world. This is mine, but don't you dare believe that you yourself don't have a gift, because you do. And you'll know when you found it. And you just basically have to listen to your intuition. And it's something that will help spread light and joy and passion and just amazing energy into the world. So find that, and don't you dare let Satan bring you down or say that you're not good enough or that you have nothing to offer, because that's a fucking lie. Everybody has something to offer. So keep searching if you haven't found it. You will if you're open. And if you want to talk to somebody that's walked on this path, you know where to find me. Okay, I'll talk to you all later.